Perfect timing.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Marlo.
Sorry about that.
No worries. It's all good. Perfect timing.
Okay, we are done.
Thanks, Toby. Well, I'd like to call a special school board meeting to order. Thanks everyone on the board for taking time out of their work days to be present. And Toby, will you do the roll call
Peter Turk,
here?
Mary Schmaling,
Here.
Marlo Brown,
Here.
Taylor Washaw,
Here.
Roseanne Hahn,
Here.
Evan Bird, Lynn Kessler.
She's muted, but she's here.
Here. Thank you.
Well, we only have one item on our agenda for this meeting, format for future board meetings. As you guys know, on April 26th, we met as a board and we voted to hold upcoming meetings in person at a location to be determined. Since then, I've had several people notify me they had concerns about, whether this was a good decision or not. And I want to make sure that I'm honoring these concerns, and I think it's good for the whole board to weigh in on whether we want to change course and make a different decision on this. I kind of see three options for us going forward on how we hold our meetings. One would be we continue with our virtual meetings. The second option would be we hold full in-person meetings where both the board and the public are meeting in person. The third is we hold the board meetings in person, but the public is live streamed. And I was looking at WASB had some guidance on open meetings law, and there was one sentence in there that struck me, and it was that open sessions means a meeting which is open to all citizens of the public. And my concern would be that if members of our public or members of our board or administrative staff have any concerns about their safety, regardless of the meeting, whether it's for COVID or because we had some challenges in our fall meetings with disruptive behavior, maybe the decision to go back full in person at this time may not be a good one. But again, this should be a full board decision, not just my decision. That, therefore, I'm going to suggest we break this into two parts. The first question would be, do we want to meet virtually or do we want to meet in person? And if we decide to change course, or we decide to hold the course where we decide to meet in person, then the second question would be, do we meet full on in person where the board and the public's in person? Or do we meet like was proposed for our Monday meeting where the board's meeting in person and we live stream to the public? So I guess if anyone has thoughts on that process, that'd be great. If not, I'd entertain a motion to change our decision and decide that we would meet virtually.
I move that we change our decision and meet virtually until further notice.
Okay, any seconds?
I second the motion.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded that we have our future board meetings for the foreseeable future held virtually. Any discussion?
Go ahead, Barry.
Oh, go ahead, Marlo. I'll go after you.
Thanks. So I have a hard time with us going virtual completely. And the biggest reason why is because there is little to no community input at all. I understand that they submit letters. The letters are attached and provided for in the documents for the community to review. But the whole point of a public meeting is so that people have a voice and can express their concerns, their thoughts, what have you. And a virtual meeting, as it has been as of late, does not allow for that. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. And in all honesty, if the caveat to the board being in person versus the public being viewing it live streamed. If that was part of the conversation or the vote on the 26th, I would have voted against that. I understand the safety aspect of it. I truly do. And I will be the first one to stand up and defend anybody on the board or anybody in attendance public wise that's being harassed or accosted by, bad performers. But by staying virtual, we are literally kicking this can down the road. And regardless of when we go back to full, in person with community input, we're going to have both sides there. And at best, we can just hope that people are civil and behave, but we're kicking the can down the road. And sooner or later, we're going to have to meet in person, and everyone is going to show up, and probably even more. And by that time, they're going to really be hot under the collar. So I don't think staying virtual without some kind of bona fide way of having the community input is a good idea.
And to echo Marlo's comments, he pretty much took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly correct. If that's what the intent of the vote was on the 26th, I would not have voted for that. That's not how that was laid out. So to hear that stated the way that it was, I'm a little confused by that, to hear that now. So I'm not sure where that comment's coming from. We're elected officials. So, again, to echo Marlo's comments, I have zero tolerance at this point for any type of community disruptions, whether it's people who actually live in this community or people who do not live in this community. Quite frankly, if there are disruptions, whether it's people who are outside agitators or people who do live in this community, we can recess the meeting, we can clear the room, and we can conduct our business again after the room is cleared. But to continue to stifle any type of community input is unacceptable at this point. And I know there are, again, safety concerns from board members and from staff. And that's, again, where the zero tolerance comes into. I will not tolerate any type of harassment for paid staff members whatsoever. So for anybody who is listening to this meeting, if you intend to try to bully or harass any one of our employees, think again and think long and hard. So we need to stay the course of what we voted on the 26th and allow the public to attend, allow them to speak their mind as what we intended them to do, in my opinion. And, if there are board members who wish to attend that meeting virtually while the rest of us attend in person, that's fine. There has been a precedent set in the past. And that, that goes the same for staff members too. There has been a precedent set in the past where a board member who was out of country attended a meeting via Skype. So there are things that can be done to accommodate folks that may have safety concerns. So we need to make this happen. So that's what I have to say.
And I have to say that I really disagree with that. I have a lot of concerns about what's going on here. You say that we're stifling community input. We are not. They have the ability to send anything in, and we all read everything that they say. We are not stifling their input in any way. For me to attend virtually, I feel, and we've done that a few times, and I feel that the person that's up there on the screen just totally gets lost in the whole mix of things and just can't join in on the conversation either, the way it's going. I don't like that. I don't like the hybrid model either, because I think if we're gonna meet in person, then everybody should be able to come in. And I don't like that at this point because COVID is still rampant in this community. My daughter and son-in-law have COVID at this point, and it's everywhere. And I don't like the fact that people would be coming in at this point, because who knows who could be a carrier of COVID. That doesn't seem good. The safety issues and also the disruptive behavior that we all went through. Marlo, you didn't go through it at that time, but it was horrific. I mean, it left scars on us, and I'm sorry, that wasn't so good when somebody was right in my face screaming at me, and all of their spit was coming on me, and Roseanne too. I saw it also. So I don't like the idea that we would be meeting in person with the community at this point. It's not that we're never going to do that. Things are getting better and better, and people are getting vaccinated all the time. It will be better. We will be meeting. I just don't think this is the right time to do that. Thank you.
I just have one comment. And I understand both people's perspective, or everybody's perspective. Today I was at a meeting in Burlington, and LDV's, not LDV, Lynch Truck Center has 7 of their 9 second shift mechanics out right now with COVID. So I think that is still a valid concern. I know we've all said that if somebody attacks another person, that will step in. Those things happen so fast that we're not going to have time to step in. So if there's still a risk out there of potential violence, I think there is. The 3 recent shootings in the year, or in the last month, is a little bit scary. People are still not in their right mind. Unfortunately, I don't think they are. So I think that my opinion would be to stay virtual, at least for the near future.
And just for the record, I believe Marlo actually was at that meeting on November 9th.
Not as a board member, though.
Well, okay, he was, okay, that's ridiculous.
Roseanne,
He was there.
Roseanne, I definitely wasn't there as a board member, but I was there as a community member. And I purposely went, not choosing a side, because I wanted to make my own assessment. I did not. I was one of the last ones to leave. The board had already left. I was one of the last ones to leave. And the last person that I made eye contact with as she was leaving was Connie. And I just mouthed, "Are you okay?" She nodded her head, and it was all good. So I completely understand the safety and the security aspect of it. I really do. But also, the community has to have input, and submitted emails and letters that don't actually get read during the meeting. I mean,
Excuse me, Marlo, one quick second. Peter,
Yeah.
I need to run. So I vote in favor of the motion, and I'll leave it up to you guys to figure that out.
Okay, thanks for your input, Kevin.
You bet.
so
I don't think we've heard from Barry or Roseanne. Do you have any discussion points?
I made the motion. I am afraid to go. I'm afraid for my car. I'm afraid what's going to happen outside. And I'm afraid of COVID. And I think it's not going to hurt us to wait a while yet. I think, like as Susan said, things are going to get better, but they're not better right now. And I think we're taking a chance.
So I've got, unfortunately, I'm guessing Kevin's glad he got out quick. I got a lot of thoughts on this. It has been preached to me since well before I was on the board that board meetings are public meetings, not meetings of the public. They are for us to get together to conduct our business and accomplish the work of the district. They are not there to be platforms for people to air their grievances to the public and make scenes and everything else. I completely agree. Community input is important. We function on that. However, we don't ask the community every single thing we do. We can't function like that. That's why we have elected officials to make those decisions and move forward on things. There are times we need community input, and we invite them and say, look, we need to know what you want here. But that doesn't mean we have to have input on every single item we do. We would never get anything done. These 4-hour meetings would go into 8-hour meetings if we did that. I have full respect for getting back in public with people when we can do it appropriately. Right now, we're searching for buildings and spaces. We're not set up for it. At this point, most likely we would have to have at least some degree of a police presence, because if we want to shut down a meeting and empty the room, we have to have the police there for that. That's more money out of the district's pocket. We can't keep bleeding cash to entertain these types of motions. And we will get back in person. And I read every single email that comes in, and many of them are just repeats from the same person with the same thing. And I still read every single one. Community input is not being denied. If people want to make a larger case to the greater public, we've got newspapers for that. We've got web pages for that. We've got social media for that. Make your case as you see fit. We ask for input as we need it. We will get back to in-person. We will have in-person comments as soon as possible. Now is not the time. I think we can start looking at that again when we get the new district office in place. We can have better distancing in place if COVID is still an issue. Hopefully it starts curving with the vaccine. But right now we're bouncing from building to building, trying to find things, spending money we don't have and resources we don't have. And it doesn't make sense. So in the fiscal interest of the district, in the personal safety concerns of many people on the board and outside of the board that have expressed it, I think we need to remain virtual for now. As far as the hybrid option, I honestly don't know if that's even allowed. I think it sounds like it should be allowed in my head, but I don't have an answer to that. So I would think we would stay virtual for now until we can appropriately regather and bring the community back together and speak respectfully with each other and move forward in this district and focus on kids, which is what we're here to do.
Does anyone else have comments or items for discussion on this motion? Okay, hearing none, then I guess I'd like to take a roll call vote. Toby, could you do the honors?
Sorry, can you just repeat the motion?
Sure. Maybe Toby, you want to repeat the motion, or I can summarize it for you. I think it's pretty straightforward.
I have that
Okay, go ahead.
Roseanne made a motion to continue with meeting virtually for our board meetings. And then Susan seconded that motion.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, it would be deciding to change our decision, or to change our decision from the last board meeting, and we're going to meet virtually going forward.
Are we ready? Okay. Peter,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Marlo,
No.
Taylor,
No.
Roseanne,
Yes,
Susan.
you're muted.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. We have 5-2 going back virtual.
Yeah, maybe technically it's 4-2. I know Kevin was here for the vote, but he expressed his opinion. Still
I was
passes.
gonna say, we know what he thinks, but I don't think we can technically count the vote, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Whether it was for or against it, it's just procedure.
Right.
Well, that's all we had for our agenda. So I guess I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second,
Second motion.
Okay, all in favor? Do we need to do a roll call? I forget this.
Yes, we still do.
All right.
Peter,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Marlo,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Roseanne,
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
weekend.
Bye.